then you hear, you know, Michelle, thanks. Let me give you another one. You're not a positive example of Adventism. Just being vulnerable, right? We're building the wall. And this is what rejection literally does. Because every time I hear a negative comment about me, all I do is I want to separate myself from whoever said it. And whatever I associate that person with, it's a wall that I'm going to build. Because I need to protect myself. And I don't want to be at your disposal. So every time that you hear something negative about you, your culture, your family, you too do this. You grab something to block out other people. And you block out noise, and you block out sound, and you block out people, and you end up standing behind a wall that you've built yourself. Because you're dealing with your own rejection. Well, let's go to another one. I get this one from my Spanish pastors, right? How many of you have seen female Spanish pastors? They don't exist.
Mercy.
There you go. You know why? Culture. Patriarchy. It's another wall that we build. And I'm sure that we could talk about other things. Before I started my workout experience, I was 220 pounds. Can you hear them talking about my weight? Michelle, you look like a can of soup. Michelle, your hair is too short. Your hair is too wild. Now I get your hair is too curly. It's always something. People say things that hurt, but you can't see it. You don't see me building this wall inside. You're only seeing it because I'm putting it up in front of you to make a point. Because if we're honest, we all live behind these walls. We've all experienced rejection. We've all experienced pain. We've all experienced things that have made us feel that we are not worthy. And that God's love can only go so far. But that's just church ones. I can go over here and talk about my family, right? I'm the only girl. I have 2 older brothers. And when I was little, my hair used to come down to my waist. My brothers loved telling me that I look like Medusa. It was their joke. They're not serious about it, but they like to make fun of it. But you know what that did to me? You know what it does to a 6-year-old to hear that they look like a monster that has snakes coming out of her hair? Can you imagine what it feels like to be the only colored person in your class of Hispanics, and even though you all speak Spanish, you're chocolate and they're not? Can you imagine what it feels like to be the only girl on the football team and the soccer team and the basketball team and the baseball team? It was just constant rejection. So what do you do when all you do is live behind stone walls? What do you do when everyone is trying to pull you into uncomfortable places? Because I feel like I'm safe back here. At least back here, I can control what happens. At least back here, I can decide how much what you say actually gets to me because I'm blocking it out. But then I get to a place where I realize that what these walls are really doing, they're not keeping you out. They're keeping me in. I can't move from beyond the walls that I've created. I can't move beyond the single story that I've created for myself. When I say this is all I am, then that's all I am. So where does God come into play in this moment? What does God do in these situations? I'll tell you. And then I'm going to take my seat. This is how I dealt with rejection. When I realized that it was too much for me to handle. When I realized that I was sinking into depression. That I was going through so much negativity. I mean, can you imagine being a 27-year-old pastor going through a divorce? The only female hired in the whole conference. And I'm sitting there in meetings where they're telling us, please bring your spouses. Actually, they said bring your wives because they didn't have gender inclusivism at the time. Do you imagine what I had to deal with? Man, I was not well. And I said, God, why did you bring me into this? Such a patriarchal system that's built to just keep women down. I don't want to be a part of this church. I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to do this anymore. And then God started doing things that were incredible. I met a group of people at the gym that were amazing to me. And they were like, hey, Michelle, you want to come with us? We're going to start doing CrossFit stuff, and we're going to start doing this. And it just seems like you'd work out really well with us. And I started going with them. And you know what, guys? In working out with them, I actually ended up being comfortable with myself. I started to realize that my beauty is not by what other people ascribe to me. It's what I ascribe to myself. That goes for women and men alike. Because men love to say that they don't care about how they look, but y'all are lying. That took away one of my blocks. And then I met with someone who was a meal specialist. And she's like, your problem is not your weight, your problem is what you're eating. You eat too much junk food. Let me give you a certain amount of time to